in general, for all the hell branches, we don't have to clear anything whatsoever. And in fact, generally we would rather not, because we'll be dealing with aforementioned hell effects. And instead, we're just looking for the quickest dives down. So maybe we'll even just start taking a peek, clearing our way, seeing how we handle things on the first few ventures here. So if we want to max out one of our resistances, fire, I think, is going to be pretty hard. If we do a quick find for RF+, we can see that we don't have a whole lot at our disposal. Unfortunately, no items that are giving us multiple pips of fire resistance, which is generally what we're looking for here, so that we don't have to switch off everything that we're currently and actively using on each of these runs. Alternatively, I believe for resistance to cold, we have a much better complement here, seeing as how we have the amulet that we could switch out, giving us 2 of those, as well as our 1 cold resistance that we already have available. It's a bit of a trade-off because Cocytus, the ice realm, is a little bit scary. And of course, before we even think about that, what I should be doing is learning Maxwell's capacitive coupling, because I think this is going to be one of our main solutions for the big scary enemies that we run into at the end of the branches here, trying our very best to just incinerate them in one blow. So let's learn that right away here, and let's maybe start our journey. Even taking off our 10 intelligence necklace, we can see that we're still able to cast all of the main spells at our disposal. Sticky Flame, not a huge deal not being able to cast successfully. Dispersal, something that we haven't tried out too much yet, though I've definitely heard really good things, and it should be able to get us out of a pickle if we start getting surrounded too much. Fortunately, there's nothing to do here but to start getting into it. I can talk all I want about all the different factors weighing things out, but at the end of the day, we are just going to have to start delving here. So we will go potentially into Cocytus to start, seeing as how we have decent resistances across the board, and we can at least take a peek. Again, there's no harm in taking a look and then immediately leaving, all things considered, so it's one of the better branches to at least experiment with and get the heck out of here if things start going poorly. It's also why I'm just throwing off all of the spells at our disposal, not too worried about mana management here, because we should be fine at the end of the day. There we go. The ice devils are one of the weaker enemies that we'll be facing. Let's just head out, heal up fully, rinse and repeat. And there we go. So this is one of the more constant hell effects that we'll be facing. Enemies constantly popping in around us. A Shard Strike is actually a fairly tough threat. Fortunately, we do have those solid resistances, so we should be okay to take them out here. You know, even one of those shards of ice hitting us still packs a bit of a wallop. And if we're going to heal up and we're on floor 1, I guess we might as well pop up. That was the mistake that I made there, because that way we're not dealing with enemy spawns coming in, and we can instead just slowly but surely clear our way. Let's start heading down. We're looking for our stairwells here whenever possible. It's tempting not even to pick up the money. I think I will for the start here, but it of course is just more time that we're spending in the danger zone. There we go. We're managing to find our stairways here to start off. And that is what this is all about. I guess I didn't even notice once more that we got marked. I gotta start paying attention to these things. That's very important. But fortunately, we have fairly decent defenses here, so I'm gonna just start walking my way towards the stairwell. Maybe here's where we'll make a little bit of a stand. At least now if things go south, we can expend a blinking scroll to immediately get on out of here. So let's throw off a couple of manifold assaults. Not doing quite as much damage as I otherwise might like. Let's try once more here. And already we're seeing just why Hell's is a scary, scary place. We'll probably go with one more Manifold Assault, trying to take out as many of the enemies around us as we can. That should be half decent. Let's see, 6-headed, 5-headed, 8-headed Hydra, zombie. What else? The Quicksilver Dragon, how much damage are you doing? All things considered, not too bad. In general, the zombie forms of monsters are weaker than their live counterparts. Though obviously in large batches like this, we're still going to be struggling just a wee bit. And let us maybe throw down a potion petition, try and get some good healing. Heal wounds and haste is a pretty solid combo. I'll definitely take that. And that will allow us to extend our stay just a little bit. Maybe we can take on this group. But I was definitely already eyeing those blink scrolls just a little bit, starting to feel the worry creep in. Especially if anything really scary comes in off of a hell effect here. No telling when that might come back to bite us. Slowly but surely, though, of course, making our way through the batches of enemies. Should maybe go for a heal here. I think I'm risking a little bit. I'm very much relying on our high evasion here to cause a lot of these hits to miss us. But we are doing okay as long as statue form sticks around. And we are just about through the thick of it here. Oh me, oh my. What a ride that was. So getting marked in hell, not exactly ideal, but hey, the fact that we're able to survive that is a half decent implication of how we might fare throughout the rest of the journey here. Very much happy to see that. Unfortunately, these enemies are not able to get to us, the skeletal warriors that is, thanks to the deep water keeping them at bay. And let's not even waste too much time with the gold piles, and instead we'll keep bushwhacking our way down, trying to see what else Cocytus has in store. Again, I would generally not recommend taking this as our first extended branch, but needs must, and sometimes you have to be flexible in this game. Make sure that you deal whatever hand is dealt to you. At the end of the day, we are just clearing a path, setting ourselves up for the future even. Something as simple as knowing exactly where all the stairways is makes it a much quicker descent in the future, meaning that we're spending less turns taking on hell effects, and instead able to just bushwhack a quick pathway. In fact, we'll just head out. There we are, showcasing the fact that we can use those stairways to just immediately escape the entire region. No harm, no foul, nice and easy. And being sure not to move too fast, take too many unnecessary turns, can easily make it back down just as far as we did on the pathway before. Oh wow, wait a second. We took a different stairway? Did we just not see this stairway last time? Oh, I guess maybe from the last floor we took a different stairwell down. Interesting. But hey, still doing okay. We've gotten a little bit drained, which means our health total will be dropping just a wee bit, but that is a-okay. Just part of the journey here. So we'll quickly clear our path. This time I will spend a few turns healing, despite the hell effects raining down on us, just because we were pretty close to our maxes, and not too bad. We do find ourselves with a shaft. Shafting yourself, well, normally is a bit of a pain in the rear, is actually pretty solid in Hells, especially if you manage to skip some floors. So let's just stand on this son of a gun. Take care of the summoned forces that drop in, and let's jump into the shaft, bringing us down to Cocytus 6. Flip side of this, of course, is that we're no longer in sight of a stairway to escape back out. Something that I forgot to do as well, now that I think about it, is pick up all of our magic mapping scrolls that we left on the floor. We didn't want to take them into the abyss since they held no use for us there, but in hell, in situations like this, it definitely becomes practical to sometimes just get a quick mapping done of the entire area and make sure that we have those escape routes in mind. Still, all in all here, nothing too scary popping out of the woodwork quite yet. Just use a mixture of Manifold Assault and the classic paw-to-paw combat here. In fact, what is hitting us so hard? Emperor Scorpion Zombie, definitely a little bit. That shouldn't be too much. Even an 8-headed Hydra, thanks to our high AC, isn't hitting us too badly. What did you miss? I'm not too sure when you left Safed, but in general here, we managed to clear the Vestibule of Hell, and then we're just clearing our way a wee bit into Cocytus here. Probably not going to fight our giant friend at the end quite yet, but I'm playing by ear a little bit. We unfortunately weren't feeling quite comfortable heading into Pan without having a nice overall amount of resistances, and so we decided to bushwhack here, but holy moly me oh my, down to 1 health, so I'm definitely getting pretty lucky here. I would like not to lose a life. Unfortunately, we're in the middle of unexplored territory. Not a lot to our name. And this buddy is probably going to throw another icicle our way. We have, I think it's something like an 80% resistance to cold damage with all 3 pips. So 3d30 isn't quite what we're going to be hit with, though we can see from that last hit that I think did somewhere around 44 damage that they do pack a bit of a punch. So I'm going to start with a good old Potion Petition, which turns out might not have been the brightest idea. Unfortunately, we see that we do not get just healing. I was hoping for a heal wounds and curing combo in some capacity, but this might be one of the rare times that I take on some Berserk Rage, and we're just going to be trying our best to take out the Shrike here before they can hit us too many more times. So let's go for it. Up to 63 health between the Berserk Rage and the healing that we received. So we'll take a few swings here, playing nice and slow, calling some attention to ourselves, and there we go. We're slowed, of course, because we've come out of the Berserk status, but we're definitely still alive, haven't lost one of our 2 lives, and we're now able to Potion Petition again, so that's not too bad, all things considered. I'm tempted to even throw out just a bit more of a classic heal wounds, but you know what, we have tons of money, why the heck not? This time around, even though heal wounds and curing are a combo effect, I'm not willing to go Berserk again, even though it might not even work because we just came out of it. But Haste and Brilliance wouldn't be a bad combo to have at our disposal here as we continue to break in a little bit of a landing where we can feel slightly safe. And perfect. Even when waiting around, I'm going to make sure that we activate statue form just in case any summons appear. Just like that. But all in all, we should be in a half-decent position. Hello, friends. Whole bunch of these strikes. So we're going to be taking a lot of ice shards at us each turn. Fortunately, high evasion should let us avoid some of the downsides there. And I'm not even going to waste turns taking steps against those buddies, and instead just keep fighting our way through. Here we go, our first Ice Fiend in the area. By themselves, not a big deal, but in groups, that Symbol of Torment is going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. So we'll Manifold Assault until they choose to take their turn to stand next to us, and perfect. Almost perfect. I thought we had gone through a decent number of heals without any horrible effects. There we go. Now for real. Let us find either a stairway up so that we know it can be safe, or alternatively, one of the stairwells down, so we know we have entrance into the final section of the branch. As scary as, and I'm blanking on their name now, Antaeus, I believe, is the giant in the bottom floor of this area. Scary as Antaeus is, at the end of the day, it's a bit more manageable. Just thanks to our resistances here, especially if we can do our very best to clear out the area of as many threats as we possibly can, and just simply use capacitive coupling to take them out. So of course, only time will tell whether we are prepared to deal with what is to come. We'll spend again some turns healing up here. It's always a bit of an interesting balance whether it's worth the hell effects that might take place during said heal versus how comfortable you feel about making it through the next couple encounters, especially in this exploratory phase of the journey. The one thing that's making me very tempted to just search for a stairwell down here is the simple fact that dropping through shafts is not a consistent way to travel around. You never know where you're going to get dropped, and so next time we might be dealing with a very similar situation where we have to fight our way through. And hello. What I might do here... Actually, no. I was going to potentially try for some random blinks to get ourselves over here, but we do have a few different options. I think we have a fly ring on us. Indeed we do. So let's remove this ring. In exchange for that, we immediately gain the flying ability. And now it's just about time to start the scary part. We'll pop down. All of our entrances are in one place because these final floors are generally a bit more structured than the rest of the area above. And we're going to be doing our best to clear a path. Of course, as mentioned earlier, we did leave all of our magic mapping scrolls sitting outside of our gateway into the abyss. That's something that I will often do in these areas, is immediately map out all of our surroundings so we don't have to feel quite as scared about what is to come. But we might just do this one the old-fashioned way. One of the reasons why we are going to be trying to take on Antaeus before some of my usual choices for first hell area is the simple fact that Asmodeus, I feel like I'm mixing everyone up in my head, the Fire Lord of Hell is going to be a bit of a tricky one to deal with, if just because they summon in a whole lot of fluff. So something like capacitive coupling isn't going to have quite as much oomph to it as we might otherwise expect to see somewhere like this. Getting lucky on when these summons come in, because you never know when you might be completely surrounded by those ice fiends at a truly inopportune moment. But we'll take whatever we can get here. Just try to work our way through this. One scratch at a time. Kind of hate losing statue form at an inopportune moment as well. But not too bad, all things considered. Let's back up a bit so we're not drawing more attention as we spend a few turns healing up. Should also maybe take a look at our skills, see how things are coming along. Fighting, definitely making its way on up there, getting our hit points a little bit higher for what is to come. What else do we want at our disposal? We're doing pretty well in terms of spellcasting, so I might start training up evocations a bit more right away here, if just so that we can use these rechargeables to an even greater effect than we have been. Let's bring that up to something like 20 over the course of the next while here. Please don't torment me. Perfect. Torment from Ice Fiends during rest periods when they get summoned in is always an interesting issue, because even if it doesn't take you out without other enemies to take advantage of your low health, it still causes problems in taking you twice as long to heal, or longer depending on your situation. But not too bad here so far. Relatively decent work of the area, slowly but surely clearing a path. And we'll actually avoid heading into the main castle fortress area here, because we'll want to clear out as much as we can, just to ensure that we have a safe retreat path, no matter which way that takes us. This is a good place to always practice all of the due diligence required, just to ensure that we can make it out in one piece. And here goes nothing. Let's catch our first glimpse of the big man himself. One thing I might even do real quick here, even if just to showcase kind of my more usual practices when taking on the extended section of the game, is, once we take care of this dragon, oh, they didn't see us, never mind. But one thing I always like to do, regardless of how long it's been or how short it's been since I last took on an area, is do a quick Google search. Head to the Crawl Wiki, even if just to get myself pumped up and ready to face whatever's to come. I like to open the Crawl Wiki here. You just go to the Hell section, go to Cocytus, and take a good look at what exactly Antaeus is capable of. Because he's able to cast a lightning bolt that's 3d25 and a flash freeze that's 3d29. So that's important, or those rather are important numbers to keep in mind when we're thinking about capacitive coupling. So we're going to have to last a decent number of turns here, and those are going to be coming down. Fortunately, actually, I was about to say they're dodgeable, but I think Lightning Bolt is. Flash Freeze doesn't sound like something that will be dodgeable whatsoever. Nope, ignores evasion completely. Fun stuff. So Antaeus is going to be a little bit scary here coming up. But I always like to, just have a good idea of what exactly I'm coming up against. We're going to be crossing our fingers that Antaeus mostly throws lightning bolts our way, because that'll at least be dodgeable. Alternatively, we can just get lucky rolls, and we should be fine to wait out the charge time for our big killer spell here. Oh, sir, please, come this way. I'd like to deal with all of you before we face your master. Now that we've cleared out the majority of the area, we of course can feel a little bit more comfortable about activating a teleport scroll if things start to go south. Flip side of that is that we do of course have to be cognizant and careful that we're leaving ourselves enough time for that to take effect. Let's just cast some spells, make some noise, draw attention to ourselves in various manners and forms to try and bring out as many of these critters as we can. You'll also see me doing a lot less auto-explore in these areas of the game. We're going to be as cautious as possible so that we don't accidentally run face first into the big bads at any point in time. We'll see how it goes. Guess we'll wait a few turns for clouds to dissipate. And I want to take a step back here. Anytime we spend a turn in sight of an alarm trap, we're risking it a little bit, because if an enemy just steps towards us out of the blue, right on that square, not a lot we can do to avoid that. And unfortunately, we will draw a huge amount of attention to ourselves, as could be expected, I guess, from marked status. Okay, fortunately, you shouldn't step on the mark. That's good. And much like we were saying earlier, we're going to try and clear out as much of the area as we can before heading in to fight Antaeus themselves, especially when we see a bunch of strikes. This is a little bit risky here, if just because with their kind of bat-like movement that these buddies practice, they might actually end up triggering that alarm trap. So we were kind of just crossing our fingers there and hoping that they didn't do so, and indeed we managed to see a decent amount of good fortune. We should be in a half-decent position to just heal up as much as possible. Statue form doing a lot of heavy lifting for preventing torments from hitting quite as hard as they otherwise might. A series of ice fiends like that makes me worried that we've attracted the attention of Antaeus here, because that seems like his honor guard. But we should be okay. Let's just do a quick block of there. Now Auto Explorer becomes a little bit more feasible. I guess besides the fact that it's making us pick up all the gold that I would rather not spend the turns for. I guess what we can do for that real quick is head into our auto pickup, and we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom here, and we'll just temporarily, trying to remember this in the future, turn off auto pickup for gold. Because at the end of the day, we want to be in and out of here as soon as possible. Hello, friends, patriots of all shapes and sizes. Come one, come all, and meet your maker. Hovel is doing absolute wonders here thus far. You love to see it. Try and move carefully here so that we don't get Zot trapped. An elemental wellspring. I feel like maybe it's just been a while since I was down this area, but that is unfamiliar to me. We're also getting hit by a couple different Zot effects there thanks to that trap, which is absolutely no good. That's what we were trying to avoid for the most part. But hey, it is what it is. Double Ice Fiend thanks to the random summoning of the area, and there we go, a Torment finally does come her way from one of those buddies, after so much talking about it and never actually seen it in action. I'm tempted to not even go this path once more and instead come the way we'd already explored, but we're pretty close now, so I will just do as we must. Definitely should have been taking greater precautions there just to ensure we had statue form on, and spending even a single turn out of that we could see it can be absolutely debilitating. We've also gained some mutations here without me really noticing, which is not great. I saw the negative scroll in our effects here, but on the flip side, we of course have a whole lot of mutation potions at our disposal. It might make us lose. This spells are a little easier to cast, which does concern me slightly for something like Maxwell's capacitive coupling, because we do want to use that specifically in this area here. But at the end of the day, I think it will be worth it to do a couple of quick reads here. We are able to read scrolls again. That was the big one that I wanted to get rid of. Lose our antennas, which means we will no longer be seeing enemies through walls, but that's okay. And we did in fact get normal magic back. We still have shouting occasionally here, which isn't incredible, but not the end of the world. Whenever we're non-statue form 2, we'll have another +2 AC, woohoo! But that should all be good. We'll just spend as much time as needed to get back into fighting shape here. Ideally, we won't take too much damage or face too many bad effects while we do so. That's not too bad. And let's go for it. We're getting real close to clearing the area of all the little popcorn enemies. Then there'll be nothing to do but face the music. Let's Let's definitely get statue form back online here. Get rid of our exclusions. And here goes. After all the talk, it's time to finally do what we came here for. I do want to be in top fighting shape, of course, for this in particular. We might even have another ring to deal with before we truly face the music. Those well springs, bit of a pain in the butt. At least they don't get rid of too many effects that we're relying on or anything like that. Once more into the breach, as I'm so fond of saying. And yeah, we've been really lucky for Ice Fiends for the start part of the run here, but now we of course start hitting all the problems at once here. This time around, I'm just going to drink a regular heal wounds potion, trying to finish the fight without dipping into our admittedly vast stores of money, but I'll only last so long if I'm just constantly potion petitioning each and every encounter that we come across. But we're still, all in all here, coming out of things ahead until then. I should stop talking. I feel like every time I say stuff, I'm just begging for things to go horribly wrong. But we take our time and do whatever we must to survive. It's nice when we get a lot of simple enemies in our hell spawns like that. Much easier to deal with, especially when they're paired along again with a torment casting monster of any given variety. And we are still, of course, attracting monsters that are sitting around the area, which is exactly what we're trying to do. We need to face Antaeus on their own if we want capacitive coupling to do its magic. And this is going to be our pattern for the next little while here. Just playing as safely as we can, trying to slowly but surely work our way in. It's nice that we can take care of most of the water elementals in one fell swoop, thanks to Manifold Assault. And otherwise, shouldn't be dealing with too many troubles. I'll pop back around the corner so we're not taking too many turns of torment. And of course, another Shard Shrike. Always causing us trouble, those little buddies. Though Ice Fiends are their own brand, to say the least. Feel like I'm going to be repeating myself a whole lot as we just spend turn after turn in these cycles of life. But it is what it is. And if that's what it takes to keep myself cautious and cognizant the whole time, aware of threats and actually dealing with them properly, then I'm sorry to say that I will subject all of you lovely people to said talk as well. This is why hell is such a pain. This is something that we don't have to deal with quite so much when we do eventually make our way into Pan. Or an infinite gold, right? For the most part, I wasn't bothering to pick up, but now as we start to face wave after wave of enemies, it becomes a bit more worth it to potentially visit some of these bigger gold piles and pick up what we can, because hey, we were talking about potion petition and how it won't last forever if we have to use it every other turn, but if we're able to farm money like this, probably won't be as much of a problem. Though on the flip side, if that was our one main goal, this is not where I'd be doing it, because at the end of the day, even just going through Abyss is a much safer route, all things considered. Hey Antaeus, this isn't where I wanted to be facing you. At least not the scenario. We're not doing very well in health, which of course is what we were crossing our fingers would be the case, because once more, if we plan on using capacitive coupling, we're going to need to spend a decent number of turns just doing nothing. That 682 health pool, one of the highest in the games, shouldn't matter whatsoever if things go our way. Both of his spell attacks, of course, reach all the way to 7 squares, so we're in no way safe, or we're never going to be completely safe from his ire. I guess one thing we could do is just start potion petitioning here. We do have lives at our disposal. That's something that I don't want to rely too heavily on, but at least for the first few big bads here, I'm going to be building that in as a nice little caveat because, hey, it's been a while since I've been here. It's always nice to have a little bit of leeway when we're stretching these muscles for the first time in a long time. But while we think about this, it's a good excuse to take a sip of our drink and go through all of our options here. Another thing that I'll often do when making our way through these extended late game areas is make prodigious use of our Phantom Mirror, because that will be another potential way to hopefully cause Antaeus to waste some turns attacking someone other than us, though that's not always the case, of course. In fact, so often as we've seen in the past, they just kind of ignore their clones that we bring up and start waddling their way over to us here. But I think it's worth a shot, so let's bring him in. I'm going to potion petition, trying to get some good healing effects out of it. Indeed we do, though taking a hit in the process makes it almost a net even, I guess. Slightly positive. We did gain a little bit of health. Let's see. We have resistance to lightning, so that's not too bad. And we do have 3 pips of cold resistance. That's taking a lot of heat off of us. Now that we no longer have the easier time casting spells... Oh, never mind. Maxwell's capacitive coupling is still at a decent percent. Oh, I guess because they get a little bit weaker, don't they? Brain's not working right yet. The reason why I checked this up is because Maxwell's capacitive coupling takes a range of turns that's determined mostly by the spell power that you cast it at. So at 50%, I'm guessing we're running somewhere around the vicinity of 4 turns of charging up. Do I think I can last 4 turns? It's possible, though a bit scary. And the one issue is that we might find ourselves in a bit of a sunk cost fallacy at some point. After waiting 3 turns, if we're 1 hit away from death, what do we do? Do we want to potion petition and heal our way up? Or do we just try and get that final hit in? We definitely don't want him actually hitting us in person here, because that will deal a lot more damage than the spells themselves. So, I think I might risk it. I want to spend 1 more turn healing, but he is going to cross the distance to us pretty quickly here once he gets going. So, let's cross our fingers. Hope we get lucky, especially if we get some gold distraction. That's fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. So we'll wait 2 turns. And it's that easy, folks. Antaeus down. So that was actually my first time using capacitive coupling myself. And in fact, I didn't even use Absolute Zero in the previous versions when that was the all-powerful tool for dealing with these late-game enemies. And I gotta say, I've definitely been missing out. That's absolutely incredible. I'm used to these being extended fights full of panic moments every which way. But I'll take it. Let's go back to just auto-exploring a bit, shall we? Though, of course, we've taken out the greatest threat, there will still be a contingent of enemies lying around here, waiting for us to come their way. Nothing we shouldn't be able to handle, though, at the very least. Damn, wasted him? Indeed we did. Absolutely love to see it. And now let's forcibly head back this way. Auto-explore taking me places I don't exactly want to go. But that is a-okay. Let's go this way, please, sir. 1 more time. Let's go pick ourselves up. Our first rune here. There she is. just sitting there waiting for us, and 6 runes. The first of the extended late game, the first of many, of course. Seeing as how we're going to absolutely kick butt and take names our whole way down. That's the plan, at least. So let's put gold back on auto pickup, make our lives a little bit easier, and we will just go through all of our little treasure rooms here, seeing if there's anything lying behind. We don't actually need these books, seeing as how we already know the spells, but there's always some part of me that likes picking them up. Reading is good for the soul, especially when you spend your days in the dungeon. There's not a lot to do down here. It's nice to have a good book to read, to keep you warm at night. And let's see what else we come across. A book that has spells we don't know. That's beautiful. And what else? Teleportation scroll. Might save our life one day, you never know. And this should just be money. Perfect. And let's put Auto Explorer back on here. I'm going to stay out of statue form a little bit now, because if enemies come in, or in fact if any of the hell effects hit us, we will get interrupted. But in general... Oh, whoops. Just spent some money by accident here. I was trying to end transformation, but I double tapped A far too quickly. Whoops. Good thing we have more money than we should need for the future. What I was saying though is that I enjoy not being in statue form when we're able to explore around, if just because it means less turns spent, which means less hell effects hitting us. So we'll take the risk to end our transformation each and every time here as we run around picking up all the gold that we left behind, feeling a little bit more comfortable about that. We haven't been hit by too many of the different types of draining hell effects, though I don't have a great grasp of each of the branch specific effects, seeing as how I generally rely on either looking them up or find that they don't make too much of an impact, all things considered. And so just make my merry way about. You know what? Let's get out of here. Nice deep sigh of relief. That's one down. Still many more to go, of course, but it was a good test run for capacitive coupling, making sure that we had that in a decent spot. As mentioned before, heading down into Gehenna here, the fire branch, is where things are going to get a little bit tricky. Because unfortunately, our Hell Lord down there does summon in a lot of monsters, so it's going to be a bit harder to make sure that they're the only enemy that's in our line of sight while we're charging up. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few misfires hitting those other than who we intend to target. Alternatively here, we could head down to either Dis or Tartarus. Dis is always a little bit sketchy. There isn't a good solid one resistance that you can do to take on the whole place, and it instead just has a whole lot of heavy hitters, strong enemies, many of which are just unique to the branch. Tartarus, we do have the capacity to get a decent amount of resistance to negative energy, so maybe that's where we'll make our next assault. The downside there is that there are many silent specters, I think they're called, something like that, but the enemies that run around with an aura of silence constantly up around them, which always poses a little bit of a problem for a spellcaster. I mean, as long as statue form doesn't run out while they're in sight, we should be okay, but it's not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. So let's switch off. This necklace has done its part. Thank you so much, the Amulet of Jonodum. You are a true MVP here. We'll drop these standard rings that we're not really using. You can see our Phantom Mirror is already recharged. And now we have to make a couple of hard decisions. Once again, we could switch out this ring for our resistance to negative energy, and that might work wonders for us. Unless things have changed drastically, I do believe that RN, or negativity resistance, is one of the only, or the only, resistance that 3 pips actually grants you full immunity to the abilities. As we briefly talked about earlier with cold resistance, 3 pips of that just gives you 80% of a downgrade to the amount of damage in that element. But with RN, it's actually a huge deal to have that at your disposal. And that's barring the fact that it also helps with Torment. So it might be worth it. to switch off from the willpower. If we do so, we can take a quick peek. Oh, that we still have 4 pips? Why am I questioning myself so much? That's pretty nifty. Turns out we don't even need it, and I've been overthinking everything, so we'll switch back to our regen ring with plus 10 int. The regeneration on this will also be helping us out a great deal in healing up a little bit faster, making sure we're not being absolutely buffeted by the hell effects coming our way. Not on top of that, the 10 intelligence also helps, bringing us up another 8% for Maxwell's capacitive coupling. We'd love to see it. And we shall do a quick find for RN+, make sure that we are using the best option at our disposal. Dex plus 6, pretty good, will give us some more evasion as well. We don't need resistance to corrosion. Fly might come in handy, but not likely in Tartarus. So I think that pretty much cements it for us. Strength plus 6, also tempting, but I think I'd almost rather have the evasion, if just so that we can be slightly more likely to last those few turns that we need for capacitive coupling to take effect. And music has stopped for a moment. Got a call on my phone, and unfortunately that hijacks my headphones. Should actually disconnect my headphones from there real quick, and that way we don't ever miss out on the lovely acoustic tunes.